The children all took in the new revelation about themselves. They were no longer ordinary. They had been transformed, turned into mutants. Of course, news like this is hard to take, and even more so, it's hard to fully grasp how you handle a situation like this. There were a lot of mixed feelings on the situation. For some, the idea of being a mutant, it was kind of cool. After all, who didn't have the dream about being a superhero at some point in your life? Anyone, whether boy or girl, at some point or another, you fantasized about the idea of saving the day, having powers far beyond this world. But then there were others who quickly accepted the cold realization of what they had gotten themselves into. The realization that they'd never live a normal life. Potentially their kids or their children's children could never live a normal life. A mutation could also be seen as a handicap. Certain things that you used to could do, you can't do anymore. In a way, having powers, for all the advantages that they gave you, also gave you unfair advantages in certain areas also. The professor figured that this was going to be the reaction of some, and Logan figured that it'd only be far worse. But still, it didn't stop the ruckus from starting once again. Mutants? Hori said. Wait, this can't be right. We can't be mutants. We weren't born mutants. How did this even happen? Slowly, the professor would try to explain to all of them the situation at hand, although it didn't make it any better. In a roundabout way of speaking, when all mutants around the world lost their powers, it was due to a being known as Wanda Maximoff, otherwise known as the Scarlet Witch. She disappeared during the incident, and she hadn't been seen for well over a decade. But through my connection with Cerebro, through my powers, I was able to sense her consciousness, although I couldn't find her body. Her consciousness has now led us to Japan, and it's seemingly disappeared. To where now, I have no idea. But when her consciousness took form in that crimson storm that occurred during the New Year's Eve festival, you all found yourselves entangled in the storm. And as such, all the power that she had taken away, it started to leak out, if you will. It began to imprint on all of you. And that's how you've received your powers. At least, that's the best theory that we have to go with, the professor would say. So, we're dealing with a case of someone screwing around with our biology, Mai said. Still, it's not the worst case scenario. Not the worst case scenario, Junichi would say. You're not the one with big flappy wings on your back. You think you got it rough? Look at me. I have freaking hands for feet, Jun would say to the group, holding up his foot that looked as though he were holding an extra arm, as if he didn't even have legs anymore. He just had extra arms. Well, we can see who got beast powers, Logan said. Beast? That's what I am? Yeah, although I should warn you, I wouldn't try experimenting with your body or anything like that, unless you want to turn into a blue furball. I'm gonna be a furry now? No, you're not going to... Well, I mean, you could be. I said it's only if you mess with the DNA. DNA? A couple days ago, I had normal DNA. This is not normal. Well, I mean, it's not like it's all that bad, Tomo said. I mean, all you gotta do is wear shoes, but for the most part, you're still the same old you. No, he's not the same, Logan would say. None of you are the same. You've all been given extraordinary power. Power far beyond any comprehension. Even something as simple as being able to phase through walls instantly makes you a threat. I got that right, Nagatoro said, poking at Nato. He's talking about you, senpai, You're gonna do something gross, like peek inside of the women's shower? Nagatoro! I wouldn't do anything like that. Or he could end up phasing his way into a bank and taking all the loot. That's also a possibility. All of our powers are dangerous. You don't know what we could end up doing. Mai looked at her hands after saying that. I feel like you can hear voices in the heads of everyone, the professor would say to her. Not just her, me too, Hori said. Sounding through your minds, it's clear to see that you both were blessed with the powers of Jean Grey and Emma Frost. Who the hell are they? You never heard of Emma Frost? Mai said. The others were a bit perplexed. Emma Frost, a mutant, was also known for her other business ventures in the world of fashion, industry. She had her hands in all sorts of business, and her fame and fortune came not from using her powers, no, although they were a great asset. When you're inside of the actor world, or the world of the fame and the fortune, you're bound to hear the name of Emma Frost at some point in time. She always had her fingers on the pulse for whatever could be the next big venture or gain. She was actually kind of a role model in a sense, the true definition of what a queen boss is capable of. And Mai actually had a lot of respect for her. It was only natural that she would end up with the powers of someone that she, in a way, idolized, although for different reasons. Well, what about the rest of us? Jiro would say. Jiro, I'm scared. Akari would hold on to Jiro rather tightly. You feel cold. Really cold. Jiro, are you sick? No, I'm not sick. He's got Iceman's powers. Iceman? That's what I am? Jiro said. Yes, although you have it in the early stages, you have more of a snowy form, to say the least. Wait, Jiro, you can turn into a snowman? You mean like Frosty the Snowman? Sakuto would say. I mean, pretty much, just minus the hat, Ryuji would chime in. Well, what about you, Ryuji? Taiga would say. You feel like you're burning up. Sunfire's powers. So, one guy's hot and one guy's cold. Put them both together, maybe you'll get Todoroki, Junichi would say. You read way too much manga, Tomo would say. Yeah, but it's not like it's not true. I mean, come on. If this is all real, then how do we know that nothing else is real? For all we know, there could be ninja clans hiding in the shadows that use chakra. There could be shinigamis who are fighting ghosts. Hell, for all we know, there could be pirates out there searching for the One Piece. The One Piece could be real. I doubt the One Piece is real, June would say. Well, how do you know? This sparked a debate amongst the boys, deciding on whether or not the One Piece was real or not until Logan finally told them all to pipe down. Look, I don't know what the hell a One Piece is or if it's real or not, and quite frankly, I don't give a damn. We need to stay focused on the topic at hand. Usui would look over to Misaki. Misaki had been given gloves to wear. She felt something unsettling about herself. Misaki, what's wrong? When I touched you, your body, you started to be drained of life. I did that to a lot of people. You know, when you used to just grab and hold me all the time, as much as I hated it, in a weird way, it was comforting. It almost feels like I've taken it all for granted. Because now I can't even hold the people I care about. The room became deathly silent hearing Misaki's words. It was obvious that while some were trying to make use of the situation they were in, there were others who felt entirely different. For some people, living with mutant powers were a lot easier said than done. Most people could blend into normal society. As long as they never used their powers, no one would really tell the difference. But there were others who, unfortunately, didn't get such of a leeway. In the case of Misaki, she ended up with Rogue's powers. Powers that could be considered a gift and a curse. Of course, that left them all with the main issue. The issue of wondering, why exactly were they here? Why had they all been gathered together? Why weren't they at a hospital where, I don't know, the government, someone with authority that could help? We brought you here because we want to help you, the professor said. You need help to master your powers, to understand them. It's something that I have been doing for years, and I will do it again if need be. But what if we don't want to be here? Hori said. I have a family. My brother, my mom, my dad. All of us do. We can't just abandon them. And for what? For something we didn't ask for? I understand you didn't. No, you don't understand. None of this is normal. None of this at all. It's fine, Hori. Miyamura, it's not okay. Look at you. Your eyes, you can't even see normally. Miyamura would place his hand on Hori's. I know that you're scared. Believe me, I'm not really thrilled about the situation either, but I have to look at it through a critical lens. First and foremost, we're all alive. No one got harmed in that accident. That's the most important thing. No one's harmed. Everyone's safe. Miyamura would turn to the professor. The professor getting almost a strange bit of nostalgia, remembering when he took in his first group of students. A young man, Scott Summers, looking at him through the same way. Can we trust you? You can, Miyamura. Guys, it's obvious why they brought us here. They brought us here to protect us and to protect the people we care about. Right now, we don't have any control over ourselves. And we can end up being more dangerous to the people we love by being closer to them the way we are now. We have to learn how to control these powers, at least to the point where we can't harm anyone else until we can reverse things. We are going to reverse it, right? Miyamura asked. Of course we are, Logan said. This isn't going to be a permanent thing for any of you. We're going to find a way to turn you all back to normal. I heard that there was a cure. One of them would step up and speak. It was Misaki. It was in an old article that I read a while ago about mutants and a cure for them. If it's true that there is a cure and that there's a way to reverse it, then why can't we just use that? I mean, I'm sure it'd be a lot faster, a lot quicker, easier. If you guys can help us get the cure, then while I do want to cure you, the professor said, I'm afraid we can't do it that way. What do you mean we can't do it that way? June asked. If there's a way for us to be cured, then why aren't we allowed to use that? Because using the cure would erase the mutant gene permanently. And you see, the mutant powers that you have now didn't originally belong to you. Yes, They belonged to my former students, my former team of X-Men. X-Men? It was a name we called ourselves, Logan said. We fought for mutant equality and dealt with mutant foes along the way. So like some form of superhero team or something like that, Junichi would say? Yeah, something like that. Okay, so we can't take the cure because it'll erase the powers forever. And I'm going to take a wild guess here, Hori would say, but whatever this Wanda Scarlet Witch thing, you were trying to track her down so that you could get her to give back the powers to those whom she took it from in the first place. However, things didn't go exactly the way you thought they would, and instead they ended up attaching themselves to us. And because of that, Mai would step beside Hori to finish her thought. You want us to learn how to control our powers, to hold on to them temporarily, until you can either find a way to reverse what's been done, or for us to transfer the powers back to who they used to belong to. That is the gist of it. Okay, Mai said. But now I have another question. Why exactly should we do this? Why should we help you in this endeavor? I mean, what incentive is there for us to get involved with you? For all intents and purposes, whether you like it or not, you don't have a right to hold us here. If we want, we can leave, go find the cure ourselves our own way. Not to sound insensitive, but in the end, this is a mess that you caused, and we have the right to handle it as we see fit. The girl was definitely speaking logical. You're right. You definitely have the right to do what you want, Logan said. And personally, I have no intentions on stopping any of you. If any of you all want to leave, now's the time. You're free to walk out that door. You're free to go about and do what you want. I've made that very clear, Logan said as he looked back to the professor. But consider this. How are you going to get to the cure? Who do you know to talk to? Who do you know to trust? There are a lot of good people out there, but there are also a lot of bad people. A lot of people who don't take too kindly to mutants. A lot of people who will sell you out the first chance they get. You see, for better or worse, we're all stuck in this situation together. Because we've been through this. We've lived through this. And believe it or not, we're honestly the only help you've got right now. Maybe you find people that will help you. Maybe you find the cure. But there's a chance you might not. You might not make it as far in this world as you think you will. There are people on edge. People who will hunt you down like animals, gut you, and use you any way they see fit. And I don't want that to happen to any of you. So if you're willing to stay, we're going to train you. We'll teach you how to use your powers, how to be smart about it, to protect yourselves. And we'll find a way to fix this together. But the choice is yours, what you want to do. Logan stepped back and allowed for the children to speak amongst themselves. Of course, there were some who wanted to go back to their normal lives. Some who wanted all of this to be nothing more but a dream, to just wake up and continue doing the mundane things they normally did. But for some of them, no, for all of them, they knew that that was never going to happen. They were never going to live the normal lives they once did, at least not right now. For better or for worse, they were all stuck in this together. All 16 huddled in a circle, each one looking to one another. Are you sure about this? June would say. What choice do we have? Misaki would say. If we're ever going to get back to a normal life, we'll need as much help as we can get. For better or for worse, these guys here have been the only ones helping us out. But how do we know that? Hori would say. Yeah. I mean, I don't really want to be here any longer than I need to be, Akari would say to them. I can take it or leave it, Taiga said. Personally, I have no qualms with keeping my powers. I get a cool sword. Taiga, what? I wouldn't do anything harmful with it. It's not like I'm going to kill anyone. Attempted murder is still a crime. Yeah, tomato, dog. Why does she keep calling you a dog, Junichi would say. Because he's my dog. I thought he was your boyfriend, Hori would say. He is. He's a boyfriend who serves and obeys me like an obedient dog. I could get behind that, Mai said, looking at Sakuta. Kind of pervy, Nagatoro would say. No more pervy than you. I mean, you're worried about your boy there just walking through walls. What about you, Miss Teleporter? What? I wouldn't do anything wrong with these powers. I mean, there is the upcoming judo competition, and I feel like I'd mop the floor with everyone. Just when they think they have me in a pin, bam, I teleport right out of the hole and I put them back in one. If I'm fast enough, no one will ever see it coming. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Misaki said. We can't just use our powers for our own gain. We have to be selfless. You know, something about responsibility, great power, all that good stuff. You know, I feel like that phrase gets lost in translation a lot, Jiro would say. What are you talking about? Well, I mean, you know, great power, responsibility. I mean, you can look at it a number of ways. I mean, does great power always come with responsibility, or are you just supposed to be responsible whether you have power or not? Okay, guys, I think we're getting off topic, Miyamura said to the group. Are we in agreement? Are we going to see this through together? Everyone looked around one more time at a show of confirmation. There was no telling what waited for them if they decided to take this road. No telling what pains, heartache, or other trials and tribulation they potentially would have to face. But if they could do it together, maybe they could come out on the other side in one piece and hopefully get back to normal. The group would all turn forward as Miyamura stepped in front of them once again. If you can actually help us, then we'll accept. We'll do what we need to do. You have made a wise choice, Miyamura, the professor would say. I just did what I thought was right. But there is one issue. What's that? Our parents? I mean, even if we all want to stick with this, what are our parents going to think? Just leave that to me, the professor would say. The next 2 days, the professor would have to travel from home to home respectively, using his powers overtime to get parents, teachers, staff to all accept the new changes that were coming along in the lives of these children. That they were all being enrolled into a new academy. That they were making a mid-change. A school for the extraordinary and gifted. Of course, when you have the power of telepathy and mental manipulation, things can go exactly as you want it to. The last stop was Hori's house. Miyamura had already spoken with his mom, who was a little perturbed, but thankfully the professor was able to smooth things over. Personally, he wasn't happy about manipulating his mom's mind like this, but still, it'd be a lot easier said than done. Plus, the kids could come back home and visit whenever they wanted. It wasn't like they were just going to be kept away 24/7. It just meant that now they had it covered so that they could spend majority of their time training and honing their skills. The professor would speak with Hori's mom and dad. Miyamura was there already. He already had his bags packed, and Hori was finishing up her bag packing as well. Her little brother Sota would come into the room as he had heard the news as well. The little boy had tears in his eyes. He looked up to his big sister and to her boyfriend, who he also viewed as family as well in Miyamura, and the idea of not having any of them around, well, it hurt. Miyamura had comforted the boy, assuring him that everything was going to be fine. Hori's parents would easily accept the news, and with the professor's job done, all that was left was for Hori to leave on her own accord. While she was packing in her room and her mom was helping along with Sota, her father, Kyosuke, was sitting on the couch, finishing the last of his cigarette, while Miyamura was sitting just across from him. You know, without Hori around, you won't catch so many kicks to the back of the head about smoking in the house. Yeah, she can often be a bit of a firecracker, just like her mom. So, what's with the shades, huh, kid? Trying to look cool for your girl? Oh, no, my eyes feel a little sensitive, so I see. Interesting guy, that Charles Xavier. Talking about school for the gifted. Well, I always knew you kids had talent, and now it's about time that someone else would recognize that. Well, I don't think I have much talent as Hori does. I think I'm just making a mess of things like I always do. No, you've got talent, even if you don't see it. You have the power to make change. You changed the lives of a lot of people, Miyamura. Sota, myself, my wife, even Hori. You have a way of influencing people, and for the better, too. So, what's all this really about? Huh? I don't think Hori's mom figured it out, but for me, something didn't feel right with that professor. The way he was talking, leaving subtle suggestion. If I didn't know any better, it felt like he was trying to manipulate my mind. Manipulate your mind? It sounds strange. Yeah, it is pretty strange. I won't lie, to a degree it worked. He's got a silver tongue, that professor, and he's rather convincing. But still, I like to think that I have a pretty good head on my shoulders, and that I'm a little more mentally fortified than a lot of people give credit. I see. Be real with me, Miyamura. You guys aren't going to just some ordinary school, are you? Huh? This school you're going to, it's not just about some extraordinary talents that you might have when it comes to academics or maybe even athletics. There's something else at play, isn't there? So you're able to figure it out, huh? As a parent, you're trained to be rather observative of your kids and who they're around. In all honesty, even though I like to give you guys space, I step in when I feel like I need to. And I don't think you're wearing those glasses just to try to make a fashion statement. Something's changed about you, hasn't it? Miyamura would ask for Kyosuke to follow him to the backyard, making sure that no one was around and that no one could be watching. Miyamura raised his head to the sky and lifted his glasses, opening them in a quick flash, shooting out a ray of energy that shot high into the sky above. Woo! That's some impressive firepower. Still, I'm a little surprised that you chose to show me that right away. I mean, there's no point in lying to you about it. You're a father, you deserve to know the truth. I'm taking it that bald guy there has some powers, huh? Kinda like a mutant. How do you... Miyamura. There's a reason why I'm not always around my family. And it's not because I'm some deadbeat dad. Look, I can't go into details about what I do for a living. Well, technically what I used to do for a living. But what I used to do, it involved me traveling a lot. Meeting a lot of people who could do some extraordinary things. Some good, some bad. So I see the telltale signs of what's going on all around. That's why I'm able to pick up on things like this. The way that Hori looks, as if she's not looking at me or at you, but looking inside, like she's looking into our minds. That's why I spooked her out when I was thinking about a certain thing that I knew would shock her. And that's why she threw that pillow at my head, huh? I can't believe it. You're more observative than I ever gave you credit. Miyamura would bow to Kyosuke. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. It's my fault. We were at the festival and we got caught up in that damn storm and it's in the past, Miyamura, Kyosuke said. I've always trusted you. I trust you now. I know you wouldn't do anything to harm Hori. You go out of your way to keep that girl happy and safe. And that's why, among many reasons, why I respect you. Chances are, if I had to take a guess, this guy here knows about your situation, and I'm guessing there are others like you. So you're probably leaving with him so you can learn how to use your powers in a safe way. In a way that you won't end up harming people on accident. And I'm willing to bet that you're probably going to try to figure out how to go back to normal. Yes, sir. That's what we plan to do. Promise me one thing. Promise me that you'll keep you, Hori, and everyone else safe. If you can keep that promise, then you have my blessing, kid. I promise, Kyosuke. I'll keep Hori safe no matter what. And everyone else too. And yourself, kid. Self-sacrifice is cool and all, but only when it's needed. Just because when I say I want Hori to come back, it doesn't mean I don't want you to get stuck somewhere either. When I say come home, that means the both of you. Got it, kid? Yes, sir. All right. Now let's finish packing. You guys have got a long road ahead of you. Eventually, Hori would be done, and it would be time for them to leave. As they were all waving and saying their goodbyes, Hori, she knew. She used her powers a little bit and was able to overhear the conversation. Before leaving, she turned back and ran to her father, giving him a hug. You big dummy. I know. I love you too. Eventually, all the children arrived back to the mansion, with the bags packed, having said their goodbyes. Not forever, of course. Like I said, they'd still be stopping back from time to time, but for now the real work was set to begin. After everyone had settled in, the boys in their rooms to the east wing of the mansion and the girls to the west, everyone would enjoy a well-cooked and well-deserved dinner. Ryuji, taking up the role of being the cook for the school, having had the skills and capabilities, was whipping up just a simple curry and rice. Thankfully, he had some help from Akari and from Mai as well. And Yukana was also pitching in. They were amazed at his cooking skills and how effective he was. As everyone ate and were satisfied, Logan laid down some of the ground rules about curfews, when to leave and when to come back, and for when they'd need to be up bright and early the next day. They were all given a gray t-shirt, black shorts, and sneakers. This was not going to be for the faint of heart. For many of them, as they drifted to sleep, they weren't sure about what tomorrow had in store for them. They knew now that the lives they once lived, they were gone. Temporary, at least they hoped, but for now they embarked on a new journey. A journey of growth, discipline, and self-discovery. To master the powers that they had been given. For some, they were a blessing. For others, they were a curse. And for some, these powers were a test to their character, to see who were they truly. You never know who you truly are until you have power in your hands. And you know what they say about power and corruption. But at least for now, they had a chance to prove themselves to be far greater than the norm, and to exceed all expectations. This concludes X-Men: The Next Generation. What if Wolverine Trained the X-Men? Season 1, Part 3. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we're going to continue with What If Wolverine Trained the X-Men, X-Men: The Next Generation, Season 1, Part 4. But that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.